I'm Libra. Welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your November 2023 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who like, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. Those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, the Celtic growth spread as always, and also put with the 4 agreements, Wisdom, the Oracle, and Mudra card for you guys. We're actually going to start the reading off by rolling over the astrology dice to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, so we have 8. And 8th house energy for you guys is Taurus, and we actually haven't had that full moon eclipse in Taurus just yet. So I see some Taurus energy in your spread as well. So yeah, this definitely seems to align with that. But in general, 8th house points to death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments. Okay, we have the South Node, and the South Node is actually in your sign. South Node in general could point to releasing some things. So these could be things that have been in your orbit for quite some time, possibly even for the past decade or so. But yeah, that's what I see with that. And we have Cancer. So for you guys, that's your 10th house of career and social status. Astrologically speaking, it's a little quiet right now, but there could definitely be some energy going on there, since I see some Cancer cards in your spread as well. All right, so we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. In the main situation position, we have the 5 of Swords, and challenging that, we have the King of Pentacles. So this is actually Aquarius energy here, and this is Taurus energy. So one thing I would say is, given that we just mentioned how that full moon eclipse is coming up in Taurus in a few days, for those of you who watch this before we physically get to November, just be on the lookout for around that timeline where there could be some conflict that comes into play. But beyond that specific situation, what this could be saying for some of you is possibly you could be throwing your name into a competitive environment as far as maybe, let's say, a job offer, right? So maybe it's a really competitive job opening that multiple applicants are applying to, right? And it could just be saying, if that's the case, people might be a bit cutthroat and not, always above board when trying to get that position. So just something to keep in mind there. Or this could also just be saying, if you're offered a job, be on the lookout for them to try to lowball you with an offer. All right, in the foundation position, we have the 7 of Wands. So similar to what we see with that 5 of Swords energy, it looks like there's a bit of an energy of conflict in the air, right? So now to see this energy here is a good sign that you would have the upper hand, though. So that's the one positive there. But yeah, so let's just look at this in a generic sense, going back to the job scenario, right? Where let's say you and a few other people in your office apply for this promotion to become a manager, right? And all of a sudden it becomes very cutthroat, right? So everyone's just trying to get ahead, doing what they can. And I feel like this is saying that you might find yourself elevated above the other applicants, right? But there could still be some resistance on their part where they're not necessarily happy about that. So something along those lines there. Or you could just find yourself almost thrust into that role of leadership and feeling a bit overwhelmed by it at this time. All right, in the past position, we have the 2 of Cups. So this is Cancer energy here. So again, given that it came up in the dice, this could be pointing to a career situation, right? So let's just say when you initially applied for a job, right? Let's say that it felt like a really good meeting of the minds, right? Like, oh, this seems like this would be a really good fit for me. And that could have been where you guys at least started, right? Compared to where it looks like things are now. In the present position, we have the 2 of Pentacles. So yeah, it could just be one of those things where maybe on the one hand, it does sound like it's a really good opportunity for you, right? Like you might genuinely feel like you do have that meeting of the minds, but then maybe when it comes to the practical stuff, that's where it seems like it might come up short, right? So, for example, you're like, okay, this seems like this could be a really good environment to work in, but at the same time, it doesn't seem like I'd be compensated financially to the level that I would hope, right? So it could just be one of those things there where you could be weighing those options, like, okay, could I get by with what they would offer versus what I feel I would need to be comfortable? All right, in the near future position, we have the Ace of Pentacles. So yeah, to me this says that you most likely will get an offer. in the situation, or if not that, it could just be saying that you might come up with a creative way to actually figure out the situation. Like I said, if it really does feel like, oh, this would be a great environment to work in, especially if, like, let's say where you are now, if it's constantly devolving into a bunch of competition and stuff like that, you might actually see it as, oh, this might be a better fit for me, but would the money work, right? So this could just be saying you might find a creative way around that in the near future. But for a lot of you, this could just be saying that you would get an offer. All right. In the position of your influence in a situation, we have the King of Wands. So yeah, another indicator for me that says that you would be elevated to a leadership position. Now, for some of you, that would be in a formal sense, right? Where, like I said, maybe you'll actually get an offer. But for others of you, it could be more of an informal thing where, like I said, it seems like you were elevated to this position, but you're not necessarily getting paid for it, right? So that's why I said watch out for them to potentially lowball you with an offer. Where they'll, oh yeah, here you go, you could take all the responsibilities of the management position, but we're not going to pay you for it yet, right? So something along those lines there to watch out for. All right, in the environment position, we have the Three of Cups. So definitely a bit of a celebratory energy here, right? So it could just be saying that once these energies subside, like I said, it might reach their peak before we even physically get into November. This could start around the time of that Taurus full moon eclipse coming up. But yeah, seeing this here, it says to me that you would have some level of success and there would be some celebration. And at least it says that you have some people in your corner who would be happy for you in the situation, whereas, like we said, maybe not everyone would. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the World. So yeah, to me, this is saying that you're hoping that you know everything you know, everything you need to know, rather, right, for the situation where you're like, okay, if I do get elevated to this position, right, hopefully I have everything I need to be successful within that. And from what I'm seeing, it looks like he would be. But like I said, it looks like there could be some resistance there. But put it this way, each of the spots where we see resistance, we see higher level cards counteracting it, right? So you got the Five of Swords here, counteracted by a Court card. We have the Seven of Wands here, but then we have the King of Wands in your position, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, maybe you would have some detractors here and there, but not enough to derail you. All right, and then the outcome position, we have the Wheel of Fortune. So given that this is a Taurus energy here, again, like we said, we saw that come up in your dice, technically some Taurus energy in the spread, but could just be pointing to as Jupiter actually starts to move direct toward the very end of the year. So maybe, now it's moving into a shadow period. It could just be one of those things where you're actually going to start to feel energy shifting already, but it's just saying that, but you'll see more promise of improvement as we get closer to the end of the year. So, but I feel like at the very least you would get pretty solid word of it happening now, right? So, for example, that could be the agreement that could be reached, right? Where they're like, okay, yes, we know that we're giving you more responsibility now, but we'll sign on the dotted line to commit to you that yes, but starting January 1st, we'll move you up to the new pay grade or something along those lines, right? So, something to look out for there. All right, and bottom of the deck, we have Hierophant. So, yet again, more Taurus energy, right? So, this will be the last eclipse on the Taurus Scorpio axis for about 9 years, 9, 10 years. So, there could be some significance with that too, because on the opposite side of that, we have Scorpio, which is your second house of finances, possessions, self worth, right? So, obviously, we see how they play off of each other. And when we get to around the middle of November, there will be a new moon in Scorpio, which is your second house of finances, so you can see the improvement starting there as well. All right, moving on to your Four Agreements card. We have be impeccable with your word. All right, let's see if I get that focused. There we go. And it says let go of self-judgment and blame. Okay, it says being impeccable, you take responsibility for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself for anything. So yeah, definitely a good message there. I think your reading last month referred to potentially finding yourself in a dark space here and there, right? So if you're still feeling that energy, hopefully that message resonates for you there. Moving on to the next card from the Wisdom Oracle deck, we have the Fates. There's the artwork and the number 17. All right, essential meanings says fate, karma, acceptance that there are things you cannot change, and knowing what those things are. The Oracle's message, the Serenity Prayer, sums up the meaning of this card. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. There are things in life you will never have control over. The conditions brought on by the evolution of the collective, by nature, and by your past experiences may be fated, preordained by spirit for a greater purpose you cannot understand in this lifetime. It may not be in your cards to understand why certain events occurred, but you can accept the mystery and work with what those events and your current circumstances have to teach you. This is the wisdom contained in the Serenity Prayer. So yeah, definitely a positive message there, right? Because like we said, it looks like there will be some tension coming up here. And again, like I said, they seem like they're minor compared to the cards counteracting them, but obviously when you're in that moment, it's still going to be frustrating, I'm sure. The relationship message says other people are who they are. You can't change them. The challenge is to accept them as they are and not try to make them otherwise to suit you. This is a time to look at how you attempt to mold people to fit your view of how they should be so you can remain in a relationship and avoid discomfort. What if who they are and whatever is happening between you and them in this situation is perfect from the perspective of spirit? Now is the time to accept what you cannot change, even if it means that you honor yourself, spirit, and the other person by moving on. Love unconditionally, for each of us is on our own journey, and we cannot direct that of another. Be aware that this relationship is indeed fated, and you are meant to evolve into a better version of yourself as a result of it. So, definitely an interesting message there. This really didn't come across, like as you noticed, this seemed to be primarily related to career and finances for you guys this month. I don't really see much of a conflict energy there. Well, like we said, maybe if we were to look at this through the lens of a relationship, the Five of Swords certainly could point to some conflict, right? And maybe where you're seeing, okay, emotionally we have a good connection, but the practicality doesn't seem to fit, right? So one of those situations there, but hopefully it resonated. The prosperity message says your experiences concerning prosperity and abundance are beyond your personal control right now. You are being invited to accept what is unreservedly. This could be a temporary situation seemingly thrust upon you by outside forces, but there is an underlying purpose you can't see that has been determined by the fates. It could be a situation you are unprepared for, and you may not understand how it will benefit you in a moment. Do not fight the situation. Ride it out and see where it leads. Surrender to it, and the serenity you need to make good choices from here on out will be given to you. You will indeed flourish. So yeah, so looking at that through this context, I could see where, again, like I said, for some of you, this could even represent where you might find yourselves thrust into a leadership role unexpectedly, right? And if that's the case, maybe if this environment was already devolving into a bit of chaos, and this says that maybe you face that resistance as well. But with some of these energies we see around here, it looks like you could actually get things turned around. And then in that case, they might actually offer for you to take the role permanently, but also with the actual official title and pay that would come with it, right? So hopefully that resonated. Right. Lastly, we have a Mudra for you guys. This is your Mudra here. It's the Granthita Mudra. The keyword for it is redemption. Alright, and there's the info on it if you want to pause it or take a screenshot to read what it has to say. But under benefits, it says prepares the mind for meditation, opens Vishuddha chakra, benefits the voice, improves thyroid function, increases the body's self-healing capacity, especially in cases of cancer. So if that sounds like a Mudra thing would be beneficial for you guys, I'll put the name in the description video as always. We'll wrap up there and I'll see you guys next month. Alright, bye.